This timeline tracks the physiological decay of a human without sleep. By day 3, hallucinations begin. By day 5, the brain starts failing, triggering paralysis. Pushed to 11 days, the biological system collapses. It is a hard, fatal threshold. But what happens if you take an entire population and physically lock them out of unconsciousness? Black Hollow was a quiet, isolated town, hidden within old mountains, home to exactly 4,231 residents. Before the event, it was entirely unremarkable. Then, on an ordinary Tuesday at exactly 2:17 a.m., every single person in town woke up. Children, parents, the elderly, all at the exact same moment. No one could go back to sleep. This wasn't a shared coincidence. It was the instantaneous deletion of the human sleep cycle across an entire population. Dr. Emily Carter began tracking the fallout at the local hospital. Her patients reported an exhaustion so deep it physically hurt, yet their vitals and brain activity returned perfectly normal. Standard chemical interventions failed completely. Heavy sedatives, high-dose sleeping pills, and chemical relaxants had zero effect on the affected townspeople. Even patients placed under general anesthesia for surgery presented a terrifying anomaly. The exact moment doctors pulled the chemical drip, the patients opened their eyes instantly, showing zero grogginess or natural fatigue. They were immediately wide awake. The medical teams realized the biological off switch that powers down the human brain had been disabled. Without an organic cause to treat, the crisis shifted. Black Hollow was no longer a medical emergency. It was a biological countdown. By the 48-hour mark, severe neurological breakdown set in. People developed violent physical tremors, dropping everyday objects. They forgot simple words mid-sentence, and minor disagreements rapidly escalated into aggression. Mass psychosis followed. Residents across town reported the exact same hallucination: a tall, faceless shadow man standing at the edge of the woods, watching them. Within 3 days, the military sealed the roads and severed all external communications. They locked Black Hollow behind a strict quarantine while feeding the press a cover story about a localized neurological outbreak. This matrix tracks the comprehensive tests run by government scientists. They screened the water supply for toxicity, the air for particulates, radiation levels, and viral markers. All 4 variables simultaneously flatlined at 0. With no environmental or biological triggers to be found, the military was forced to passively watch an impossibility accelerate toward mass societal death. Dr. Carter uncovered a pattern in the hospital archives, a vintage newspaper clipping from 1978 detailing a previous Black Hollow insomnia incident. A note circled in red claimed that something in the woods was calling to the residents. On the 6th night, that call intensified. Exhausted residents began walking into the forest, completely awake. When search teams found them, they were standing perfectly still between the trees, locked in a smiling paralysis. On day 10, military technicians detected a rigid, repeating pattern of low-frequency radio interference emitting from underground. Medical scans confirmed the residents' nervous systems were shifting to interlock with the subterranean frequency, rewriting their brainwaves to sync with the broadcast. That night, every television and radio in town activated simultaneously. Through the static, an ancient, distorted voice spoke. You were never meant to stay awake. The forced synchronization of 4,000 nervous systems to a single subterranean broadcast reveals the insomnia as a targeted override of human awareness. Geological teams investigating the signal hit a discovery miles beneath the mountains, massive ancient tunnels that were distinctly non-human. Dr. Carter and the sheriff carried heavy explosives into the silent dark, intending to destroy the origin point of the broadcast. Deep in the tunnels, they encountered an intelligence so massive and ancient that the human mind lacked the architecture to process its shape. As the whispers move from the air directly into her thoughts, Carter realizes the entity isn't reaching for their bodies. It is reaching for the minds that are no longer hidden by the barrier of sleep. This suggests that human dreaming did not evolve for rest, but as a psychic cloak. It is a defense mechanism designed to hide our minds from predatory cosmic anomalies. By forcing the town to stay awake for 11 days, the entity shattered this evolutionary armor. Once the barrier of dreams was gone, the entity could finally see and access their consciousness. To sever the connection, the sheriff detonated the charges, collapsing the ancient stone tunnels and burying the source of the broadcast. 3 days later, the military found the town silent. All 4,231 residents were finally asleep, but they were trapped in permanent, intense comas. The government buried the truth, attributing the mass comas to a chemical leak and locking Black Hollow behind a permanent quarantine. Every night we lose consciousness, retreating into the necessary hiding place of sleep to stay safe from whatever is buried in